What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Bitcoin Spaces with Jason and Andrew.
What's up, all?
Today is Friday, March 27th, 2026. Bitcoin block height 942481. It looks like we have 5 blocks in a row mined by Foundry. Bitcoin USD price. What's that?
Did you hear about the reorg?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. We'll touch on that in just a second.
Yeah,
But yeah, Bitcoin USD
okay.
price 66,200. So what's up, Andrew? Welcome in. And yeah, the reorg, right? It was 2 blocks somebody mined and they were wasted?
Yeah. So if you listen to some of the write-ups or people talking about it, there was 2 miners, both successfully and legitimately mined blocks 15 seconds apart.
Was any of them a BitX?
No, I don't think so. I think it was like Foundry and yeah.
How mad would you be if your BitX finally hit a block?
Oh man, and had it like pulled back.
And it was reorged.
That would be like getting stabbed in the heart.
Oh
man,
brutal.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they both miners legitimately mined a block, and they both started then assembling additional blocks after that. It got to 2 further blocks, and then I think the protocol negotiated that one was like had slightly more proof of work. I can't remember exactly what
it was longer, right? The longer chain always
wins. Yeah, a little
wins.
longer chain wins. So once that was determined and communicated amongst the miners, then the losing branch, because it's effectively like a temporary split, then gets discounted, and the transactions that would have gone in those blocks then go back in the mempool for inclusion with later blocks. So It's not like anybody lost a transaction. And this wasn't typically something that hasn't happened before, and the protocol is totally designed to handle it. This is like normal operating, but it's a pretty rare event, and it kind of like sparked everybody's interest in that happening. So
yeah, like anyway. a one block reorg. Yeah, you could see that happening. That makes some sense. A 2 block seems a little more rare. I wonder, have we ever had a 3 block? Has it ever gotten that far before? It was like, well, that's not the longest.
Probably. I don't know for sure, but I bet back in the early days when things were moving slower, like on CPUs and stuff, when blocks are getting mined, it was probably, my guess would be probably more more common. But this is actually why a lot of software, a lot of wallet software, and a lot of kind of best practice is to wait for 6 confirmations.
Crazy. That's a lot.
Which, at an average of 10 minutes per block, that's an hour, right?
Yeah.
So it's like waiting. I mean, you're not going to be in the coffee shop like, okay, let me swipe, pay for my coffee. And like, the store owner sitting there is like, well, we got to wait for like 6 confirmations before you can, your coffee's going to be pretty damn cold by that point.
Yeah.
But that's like absolute best practice for like, really, really being certain that nothing that you had done or that had happened, I should say, is ever going to go backwards or get changed. It's like, if you're six blocks back in the chain, it ain't changing.
No, it's not.
It's as good as drilled in stone. Yeah.
I think a lot of the exchanges do like 3 blocks.
Oh yeah.
Confirmation. So I wonder if that's going to mess things up with the exchanges, where they're going to see this and they're going to get spooked.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a curiosity. I don't think it's really going to have any real impact.
So you don't.
I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody's like, oh my God, Bitcoin is dead. How many times has Bitcoin been dead?
Yeah. So. You don't think it's going to hurt the chain at all, though? Like as far as like a money use case?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
All right. Well, that's good. I don't know. It could spook some people, but we'll see. Because 6 transactions—that's a long time. Now we do have Lightning. Yeah. That's not on-chain Bitcoin. You could lose it on Lightning as well.
Sure, Lightning is a different story, layer two, and while you do an on-chain transaction to establish sort of kind of a reserve, what they call funding a channel, which you're putting money into a special sort of protocol layer that between two parties. I always think of it like an abacus, like remember the old abacuses
Yeah.
where you can like slide the beads back and forth. It's like that's kind of what it's like. It's like you set up the thing with some beads, and it's like you're just moving it from one side to the other and back. And then when you're done, when you decide you don't want any more, whatever the amount on each side happens to be, when you close the channel, then that gets returned to the original owners. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe that is a good segue into the Tether announcement.
Yeah. So Tether. We got stable coins on Lightning Network, guys. Stable coins on Lightning Network. Tether is now live on Bitcoin's Lightning Network via Taproot Assets. So we got these, I don't know. Apparently Tether has like 350 million users, or a lot of people use Tether. I don't use Tether. I don't know why it's so popular, but now Tether's on Bitcoin, powered by Taproot Assets protocol.
So yeah, this is something that had been announced, a year and a half ago, maybe. I remember that there was a conference. Elizabeth Stark, who's the CEO of Lightning Labs, and Paolo Arduino Tether were on stage, and they announced that this was going to happen at some point. And I honestly got all excited about the idea. And why? So, like, if you look at Tether and USDT, and you go do some digging, you'll realize it's on like 12 different chains. It's like it's one thing. It's really one thing controlled by one company, but it's distributed across well, maybe it's not 12, but it's more than 6. It's probably like 8 or 10. And Solana, Tron, Ethereum itself, Arbitrum, there's more. All
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Well, now Bitcoin, but it's like, all these different chains had allocations, issuance on their chain of Tether. So when you were kind of working with Tether, whether you want a wallet or something, you were dealing with it on one of these chains. Now, all of these chains are all based on Ethereum. They're all kind of, children of Ethereum. And when you study the consensus mechanism for Ethereum, how it's proof of stake versus proof of work on Bitcoin, and when you study like how these sorts of chains and coins come into existence, you find out often most people don't know that there's a huge pre-mine, what they call, right? Where whoever kind of got things rolling, whether they were the developers or the early investors or whatever. And back in the day, there was kind of a whole fad in the last cycle. So 4 or 5 years ago, right, where there was these initial coin offerings, which was kind of everybody was trying to jump on the bandwagon. A lot of people got wrecked with losing money investing in these things, and so there's a lot of chicanery that goes on these derivative chains. Now, I'm not going to say that there's not use cases where these things can be valuable, and when you start talking about, people make the argument like, well, Bitcoin's too slow, you can't get enough transactions, it will never support the world, but we have these other things. That may be true, and there's definitely more programmability. And when I first got started, I kind of gravitated there because I'm a developer at heart, and I wanted to sort of play around and make stuff on top.
Yeah, makes sense.
And at the time, Bitcoin just was very rudimentary. You couldn't really do a whole lot other than move money around, so it wasn't all that compelling. And then but on the Ethereum side, this got to be kind of where all the action was, especially with stablecoins. Now, the proof of stake, and the fact that how do you really trust that there's a group of people that either had an initial sort of allocation, so you're now fighting and having to pay real money for what's left,
Right. For
You
what?
know, some of these things create more coins as they go. Some of them destroy coins. It all depends on the protocol. Most people don't like study it that deep. But the fact that, you know, it's not the security of the underlying chains themselves have always been kind of questionable. And I mean, if you go back to the last administration, Gary Gensler, there was a lot of ambiguity in whether or not these things are going to survive. Gensler was really bringing a lot of, you know, legal action against regulatory action against these different projects. So, and these projects had like founders, investors, you know, a home office or an address. I mean, you could like go and like literally, you know, bust down a door to like affect what's going on with that project, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that they have like a physical manifestation in the world that kind of regulates in the core, you know, Ethereum, you know, Vitalik Buterin is like seen as the guy that makes the decisions around what happens. And, you know, Ethereum went from proof of work to switch to proof of stake. They decided to change, like, you know, in midstream, you know, how they did their consensus. And there's various other core structural changes that they've made. So it's like, you know, as an Ethereum holder, you're like, well, do I have a vote in that? Well, technically, but how do you really know that your voice got heard? Yeah. So, I mean, that's that world versus the Bitcoin world. No issuer, completely bound by energy and compute to make blocks, a protocol that is embedded in the code, a hard cap on the number of coins that will ever come into existence. You know, it's just like night and day. And, you know, from a regulatory perspective, you know, the CFTC and had, even back in the Biden administration, had said Bitcoin is a commodity. Everything else is security. Now that's kind of shifted with the newer legislation, but it's pretty well established now. They're not going to turn around and say, "Oh, Bitcoin's a security today." It's not going to happen because so much has been built now behind that ruling that it's a commodity, and a commodity like grain or oil. You know, who's the issuer? Mother Earth, right?
Earth, yeah.
Maybe. So it's like there's no company, there's no entity that can be like, you know, hauled into into court and thrown into prison kind of thing if whoever the powers that be don't like them. So that's always been a good security. Now, that being said, like I was mentioning, I first kind of got my feet wet with all this stuff and blockchain and trying to help enterprises like integrate with this stuff. It was like, you know, that's where all the action was. And Bitcoin was like a real laggard in terms of like a platform for developing more higher order types of applications and scenarios. But once I kind of came to understand that the you know, consensus protocol is really what matters, and the way blocks are mined and brought in are really important. And that's the better way to go. It's like, look, I'm going to spend more time building on Bitcoin, understanding Bitcoin, and it will get there, and it has. And this is like another step in it getting maturing to a point where it's getting useful. So the Taproot asset, and actually I had been working on a project on my own to like bring up multiple Lightning nodes that had the Taproot asset capability turned on. So because when you're transferring Bitcoin, you can bring up one Lightning node, great, you can fund it and find somebody else with another node to say, okay, let's open a channel. But when you're talking about Taproot assets over Lightning, that other side has to be also software-wise configured to manage it and understand it. And while it's using the Lightning network, it is actually, you know, it converts from one side of the asset channel. So you have to declare a channel to be a particular asset type. Then it can move the asset across the channel. But then one of the nice things is it can leverage the rest of the Lightning network to get to the other side of the network. And then you need to find someone that has a node set up to do the reverse, convert it from sats back into the asset type, USDT in this case, and then potentially move it again to the other side of the channel where somebody can, like the recipient is waiting for that USDT. So it goes from USDT to SATs to USDT again. So, and that's the beauty, because all the intermediate nodes don't care. It's just another SAT movement. So, but in order to really do it, you need at least 4 nodes set up that understand how to handle that asset type. And also, there's another type of node. Somebody has to play the role of keeping track of who owns what amount of that asset. Mm-hmm. It's not a completely bare instrument. And this is, I think, an important distinction. It's not, there is still what they call a universe server that keeps track of who has gotten what amount of Tether over Taproot. And that becomes a point of control. So the regulatory industry could come in to say, Tether themselves, if they're running some of these nodes, and say, hey, we flagged this wallet address as a bad actor. We see that there's been some Tether transferred, even if it's over Bitcoin, and we need you to freeze or seize that asset. And if you look at Tether's news site, you'll see incidents where they've worked with various regulatory governments to effectively seize and retain assets or hold assets. So
it's garbage.
Well, just be very clear what you're dealing with by allowing the transport layer, Lightning, to be, which we very much like, which is based on Bitcoin. That's I think a great thing, and will help, I think, encourage use of Lightning as well. It's another sort of way to use it, but the asset itself is still burdened by these same qualities.
Yeah.
It's underpinned by U.S. Treasury, so the value of the dollar directly it's a stable coin. That's why they call it stable. It's 1-to-1 with a Treasury,
which is ironic, though, right?
Yeah,
stably declining.
It's going to buy less and less, as the dollar weakens, so this is not saving you from that. No. However, I think a lot of folks just haven't been going through the motions of doing things like this. And if this kind of gives them an initial comfort level, like, oh, it's like dollars. It's just like Cash App. It's like, I can just open it up and pay somebody with dollars. I get paid in dollars. I see some dollars in here. I move some dollars. I go to the store. I see the price tag in dollars. It's all very familiar. So I think it's a good incremental step. And just for the record, there's been a couple other announcements last year or so with Tether to use other mechanisms of transporting. One's called RGB, and another one's called ARC, and there's another one called Spark. So Tether is got its fingers in a lot of different mechanisms, and which to me is great. This means that this stuff's not going to fade away, so yeah, I think it's an encouraging thing, but just to warn folks, it's that Tether over Lightning isn't any different, any safe, any less like a dollar than a dollar is. So
yeah, the problem is Tether, right? Who are they? These are people that create this product, Tether, for free. They say that they have a 1-to-1 backing with a treasury, a dollar, this, that, the other thing. Okay, how can you prove it? It's not on a blockchain. It's not on Bitcoin. Now, a question I have with that is, why did they launch it on the Lightning Network and not Bitcoin itself? Is it not possible to be an op return or something like that?
Possible. In fact, you can actually issue Tether on the base blockchain network. And in fact, that's what you have to do before you actually move it into Lightning channels. So you actually have to declare it on the blockchain network first, and then you can sort of move it into the channels. So it's it technically is, but it's not really as useful that way. it's required because you need that anchor,
Yeah.
but it's not, as usual, at with low cost and ease of doing small transactions and stuff.
Makes sense. But
Yeah.
what doesn't make sense is that we're tying an infinity asset like Tether, which is unlimited in amount, it's created for free, to a strictly limited asset, Bitcoin 21 million, which is bounded by energy, proof of work. So it just seems weird. I guess, like you said, we're in this transition period where people are going to find out and they're going to figure out the difference between all these fake coins and Bitcoin. It's just silly to see when you're already kind of understanding it and you're a little further down the road. And it's like, why are we even messing with Tether?
Mm-hmm. I just shared my screen.
Yep.
To your point, they made this announcement the other day that they had contracted with, they didn't say who, but one of the big accounting firms to do a full audit. So they're going to do a full audit of all their holdings.
Yeah, but again, that's trust me, bro. You're just trusting.
It's trust me, bro.
A new king.
It's just trust somebody else.
Yeah.
Like trust him. Trust me to trust him. Right.
Yeah.
So and also another thing that so we'll see where this comes out. I don't have any doubt that they'll come back. Oh, you're all clean, because they claim that they've already using these accounting and audit standards. But there was another one recently where they were talking about so Tether used to be in the U.S. Then they moved to El Salvador and headquartered in El Salvador, right? And then they started doing more operations and issuing stuff. And Tether, when the Stablecoin Act came out, Tether, it's like it was unclear if that was going to create some friction. So what did they do? They hired like a guy named Bo Hines from the government agency that was kind of overseeing the stuff to come work for them, and they created a new coin called USAT, and supposedly that coin, also a U.S. dollar stable coin, was created and issued from a division of Tether, completely with U.S. regulatory sort of clarity, in mind. So we'll see.
Now, I like that. That was going to be my next thing. Is it going to open up the door for more stable coins and more crap coins to come out on Lightning? And obviously, yes, it is. So that's good. Let Tether come out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins. Let all these companies come out, flood the market with coins. Now that, I think, will help people understand these coins are a dime a dozen. People create them for free. Bitcoin is the real value.
Right. And, US or Tether was banned in the European Union because the European Union wanted the underlying collateral holdings to be held in European banks. And Tether was like, we don't want to be subject to European banks. And as a result, Circle kind of got a foothold in is it Europe? No, also in Circle with USDC, their stable coin, they had like more, I think, footprint in the US. Now, again, we're in the US, so we're already using the dollar. It doesn't matter as much to us. But when you start thinking about these, like, other jurisdictions, other countries, like that are like dealing in like the Libyan, whatever pound or something like that, or Egypt, where your national currencies are just, getting hyperinflated. It's like you're just scrambling for like, where can I put anything to like that's not like going to just lose value so quick. So a lot of people talk about this in a broader sense, that this kind of gives the US dollar a reserve currency, like last gasp of air.
I think so.
We'll see. I do too. But I think it's a necessary transition. And I got to remember, a lot of people got to get used to this. And we don't want a situation where we're reliant on central bank liability issuance monies, like what they call CBDCs, right? Central bank digital currencies. Those are not backed by treasuries that the U.S. government creates, but by assets that the central banks create.
Yeah, I think they're
We
both
don't want that.
equally bad. Maybe one's
They're
worse than
bad.
the other slightly, but it's just one
Slightly
group of
less
people
bad.
in
Yeah.
control versus another
Yeah.
group of people in control.
And like I say, when more people understand that, or it
Yeah.
gets kind of pointed out to them, the more it's like, well, why would I want to do that? What else is available?
Right.
Well, there's, you can buy gold and put it under your mattress. You can buy, land, farmland. You can buy real estate. Maybe real estate's got ongoing costs associated. Or then there's this thing, Bitcoin, right? That's like, a lot more simple to deal with. Suddenly things like they're changing the regulations so I can like buy it in my 401k and stuff like that. I see these ETF things. I see, pension funds and other things starting to invest in it. So maybe it's not so scary, right?
Yep. Bitcoin is one of a kind, and one of the major benefits that make Bitcoin one of a kind: proof of work and self-custody, the ability to hold a digital thing that no one can replicate for free on your own, right? It's amazing.
That's right.
It's insane. All right, let's move on here. We have breaking news, amazing news. Andrew's going to be doing a workshop at the upcoming Bitcoin conference. The stage is Workshop 101 stage, and you're going to be doing it April 29th from 12:15 to 1 p.m. So congratulations, Andrew. This is a huge deal.
Thanks. I've been kind of mum on it because I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. So I reached out and volunteered to speak. The details are, and it's going to be around Spaces protocol. So Spaces protocol, awesome. And I'm going to be talking about Spaces and holding a workshop. So if you're coming to the Bitcoin Vegas conference end of next month, it's the last day. It's the Wednesday of the conference. It's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday conference. And, please come by, introduce yourself, chat. I'd love to talk to anyone that's going to be there. And yeah, it's, I'm pretty stoked. I did something similar at the Tab Conf here in Atlanta last October, but things were a lot still in the beta sort of mode. But all hopes are it's all going to be live. It's all going to be real. And I'm really looking forward to like talking to folks at the conference and spreading the word about Spaces protocol and what it can mean. And I mean, these things, there's other Bitcoin conferences, but this is kind of seen as the big one in the US. So I'm glad we could get some traction there.
Yeah, this is the big one. It's a huge deal that you did that. It's amazing. Congratulations to you. Now, what are you going to be doing? I know you're going to be talking about Spaces, but do you have any special surprises? Do you have any idea, anything you can share with anyone and the viewers that you're going to be talking about? Maybe you're going to be giving away something, perhaps?
So I have, I have secured the @Bitcoin 2026 top level name.
Nice.
So I'm going to be giving away, sub names underneath that top level name. And so think of it as a little takeaway, a little gift from the Spaces Protocol folks and myself and the Bitcoin conference. And so maybe it'll be, something like 20 years from now, I look back, it's like, oh man, I got one of the original Spaces names back in the day, more my grandfather did, and I got to inherit it. So it's like a prestige thing. I don't know. This is so early, and we want to really see kind of how this gets used. I mean, there's, a lot of momentum behind it, and I'm really looking forward to kind of talking to people and setting up. So again, if you're going to be in attendance, I would love to meet you. Please reach out. You can catch me on LinkedIn. That's what I'm showing I was there showing the LinkedIn page, but it's LinkedIn and Andrew Lundy, my name. So just look me up, and I'd love to touch base with you.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, these @Bitcoin 2026 names that you're going to be giving away, are you going to let the users pick these names? Do they ever expire once they get them? And what can they do with these names once they have them?
So, right. So we could talk a little bit about how these subnames work We hope in a future show to be a lot more explicit about exactly how this works. But the subnames, everything to the left of the @ sign. So let me share my screen again quick.
Sure.
So we've this is the docs page, and like on this page here, it says Alice at Bitcoin. So everything to the left of the @ sign is a subname, and the owners of the top level names, so at Bitcoin in this case, you go through the bidding process. We've talked about this in past episodes, and then you get it registered, and then you become, if you want to, you don't have to. If you want to, you become the operator of that top level name. Now that you can then create zero knowledge base proof certificates for any name to the left of the @ sign. And it's up to you to decide, maybe I want to reserve a few names. Maybe I want to give them away. Maybe I want to give them as part of some other, organization. The point was kind of to kind of promote community affiliation as well as, entrepreneurial activity. But if you do want to sell them, then a person would have to see, is that name available? Maybe Alice has already taken, or Andrew or Jason. And if it's available and the person who runs that name, that operator, is willing to sell you that subname, then you create a key pair that's associated with that particular name. You do this on your own. So you generate that key pair, private public key. You create from the public key what's known as a certificate request. You send it to that top level name owner, and if it's required payment, then you send that along as well. As long as that handles and the person's agreeable to it, then they will add your name to the zero knowledge proof set. This is it's based on a Merkle tree methodology of proving whether something exists or doesn't exist, and that's that inclusion into that proof set. And you can do many at a time. Some say, I go to the conference and I get 100 people that, sign up and give me 100 different names. And I can just take them as one big batch, create the proof set for it using some software that the Spaces Protocol folks provide. And then I get effectively this tree of what's included in there. And then the top of that tree, the root, we call it, has a hash. I take that hash, which looks like some random digits, and I put it back on the Bitcoin blockchain. So this anchors the fact that your name exists in that set of stuff that was anchored on the blockchain. So you get extra evidence. In addition to that, I, as the operator, will also create a certificate that includes some of the zero knowledge magic that goes along with it and send it back to you. Now you can then use another mechanism that what we call a cert server, or you can actually do it offline. And we'll get into more of this later at another time, but you can prove that your handle, your Alice at Bitcoin in this case, really does exist. And without having to ask anybody else, or, now if you want to say, does Jason at Bitcoin exist? Well, you don't have the certificate for Jason. Jason obviously does, but you can query a certificate server, which is a decentralized hash table type server, and get the answer. Like, yeah, it exists, or no, maybe no, it doesn't exist, or maybe it exists or is available for purchase or something. After that, you can go one further step. You can go back to your operator and say, hey, I'm Alice, and I really don't want to bother with you anymore. I want you to create a pointer for me, which is a specific transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain that is tied to that private key that I mentioned before that you created on your own. You go ahead and create that and take my name and put it on the main chain, associate it with that pointer. And then, so the operator does that. As soon as that transaction is mined, the operator is no longer part of controlling your Alice at Bitcoin subname. From that point on, it's your name, it's your property. It can never be taken away from you. It never expires. You can do things with it, like associate other data with it. You might, in this case, associate like a Nostr public key with it, or a website address with it. And that's another whole topic. We'll probably dedicate a whole episode just to that as well. How you do that on chain and on chain mode versus an off chain mode. There's some different mechanisms there. But the short end of the story is that it's your property. So like it's yours forever. And that's a really compelling thing. I think this really is an expression of like what a true Bitcoin application and system that is like definitively recording, information is all about. And I'm very excited to like start talking to people and getting them excited about what's possible.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's awesome that you secured a spot speaking at the Bitcoin 2026 conference. That's the big conference, and you're going to be there talking about Spaces protocol. Huge, man. That's huge. So congratulations on that. All right, next up, we got Lightning Labs released open source AI agent tools for AI agents to run Lightning nodes and make autonomous payments for machine to machine use cases. So now we're getting crazy, machine to machine, cutting the humans out. It's kind of like Bitcoin cuts the middleman out. Bitcoin also cuts the humans out. It cuts the central bankers out. And now we got AI tools cutting the humans out as well. It's getting pretty scary, this AI robot world we're building.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about it too much, but one of the things I've been spending a lot of time lately is building my own OpenClaw agent. And
you're a trader.
I've been very tentative about like how much access I've been giving it. I was asking it to help me create business cards last night a little bit, and it actually helped me to write my presentation, my slide deck for I spoke back on Wednesday. I'll touch on that again in a second, but. This is something that is just exploding. I see these efforts everywhere. Albi has a agent-friendly interface. There's a friend of mine, Stephen DeLorme, who was working with Voltage. Now he's working with a company called Money Dev Kit, doing the same sort of thing. A system to make it easy to have agents create Bitcoin wallets. There's the whole Tether themselves have a wallet development kit, and right. I've been building with that. This one from Lightning, and I've seen probably a handful of others for sure. So it's like kind of the next natural thing, right? It's like we got the digital asset value transfer mechanism in Bitcoin and Lightning, and then we've got these agents, and like, okay, we can tell them to do things. But like, things that are cheap, like, oh, go search the web for me. Mm-hmm. But what happens when they need something that costs money, that's not free? Then suddenly they're stuck not having a mechanism. Now, I don't suggest anybody give their agent like access to their inheritance stash of Bitcoin, right? Because we've already had instances where people like set it loose on their emails, like, oh, go through my inbox and just, get rid of anything that's not, important. Well, its version of important and yours might be different if you're not careful. And I was reading a thing where some poor person like had their whole inbox, like all their messages just deleted. So, you got to make sure. And this is a very big topic, the safety of these agents. I know that NVIDIA is coming out with a very like enterprise protected kind of safety, cranked up to 9 version of things. Anthropic and OpenAI have a different idea about this. So yeah, this is all very much the flavor of the day, stuff happening out here.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. So it's like an AI assistant that could just do stuff for you, kind of like people nowadays,
Yeah.
they'll hire someone from a different country, maybe for a cheaper rate, Philippines, Venezuela, something like that, and they'll just do
Hmm.
tasks for you. So I guess the big thing here is that now not only will they be able to do simple tasks like you said, scrape web pages and check your email, but now they'll be able to buy and sell things for you. So we're talking about commerce transactions. And is this, in your opinion, do you think this is going to be on Bitcoin, on Lightning? Do you think it's going to be maybe Tether? Maybe the Tether story from earlier. Is that why they're getting in here? Tokens are going to be on Lightning specifically for AI.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of all of the above. When it comes to merchants don't typically turn away your dollars, right?
Right.
It's kind of their business not to turn your dollars away. And I saw something, I think it was Amazon, that was like they were like kind of inundated with bots through their shopping network, and they had tried to like turn them off, and there was a bit of a threat of legal action. I can't remember what it was,
Were the
but
bots buying
yeah,
or selling or both?
I don't know if they were just researching and then creating a big load on their system
Okay.
or not. But yeah, I mean, and one of the things I'm working with is with the bot side of things is how do you run it locally so that it's not reaching out to either the large language model providers like Anthropic and OpenAI and stuff, and keep all that stuff private, which means running it on your own machine, which means learning how to do language models locally. Because anytime you like ask a question, you're giving them all your information. So do not put your passphrase
Right.
anywhere near these things, right? Because once it goes out there over the wire, you can't get it back. If you ever realize that you've done that accidentally, then make sure you set up a new wallet and transfer everything to it, because it may not happen right away. Maybe it'll get divulged in some future leak or something, right? That would jeopardize you.
Yeah,
So,
so you wouldn't give them your whole wallet or your seed phrase or something, but maybe you would set up a software wallet on your PC or the same PC that you have the AI. You'd fund it with some Bitcoin or something. And what would you do? You would just say, hey, make me rich. What's the best business? I mean, do you have to give it precise details on what to do? Or can you just give it a general goal and say, make me money. You're the boss.
people theorize that you can do that. I think right now, you got to remember, there's probably a lot of people trying to do that. I don't know how effective that's going to be. But if you bring it back to like, okay, my agent knows a lot of my preferences and this and that, and maybe, you start out by like, well, have it order dinner for me, from Uber Eats or something like that, and like surprise me every night, and see how that goes or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
interesting.
schedule a haircut for me, or, maybe book a plane ticket, and something that can be reversed or whatever. Or at least, well, I didn't like what they got me for dinner, so I'm gonna go and tell them like, no, I don't like, Indian food. It's too hot or something like that. But yeah, I mean, just the world is opening up. I mean, it does mean that that businesses, and this is another big topic, businesses and are going to start catering to agents as the customer, and which means all the websites and everything that we interact with, they're designed for us to interact. Pretty pictures. Always have like buttons that look like buttons, and we expect to drop something in a cart and then add a few things to the cart and maybe make a decision about whether we want it delivered tomorrow or we're willing to let it go to the next day. I mean, that's all part of a human decision process, right? And we might change the decision. It maybe during that checkout process, you see it's recommending something else, like, oh, well, actually, I like that better. So that's all. That whole flow is designed around the human. But what if it's a bot?
Yeah.
I don't need pictures. I just need the text and the actionable stuff. So that's a big topic right now.
Yeah, every
And also,
business, every person, we're going to have these AI assistants. So it's not going to be me and you talking to each other. It's going to be our
right.
assistants talking to each other. And then maybe after all that's worked out, we'll get together and maybe talk. But it's going to
Yeah,
be a
we'll
crazy
see.
world ahead.
Have your people call my people.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
well, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, this is all like what's hot and everybody's doing. I saw that Google just put out another model that they claim is like six times
Mm.
smaller and just as effective. And now everybody's like, oh, does that mean we're going to need as much data centers and energy? And yeah, it's like it's changing fast. So
Yeah. Things are moving extremely fast. Interesting
yeah,
times ahead. All right. Well, that was a pretty
that's
good
right.
show. We could wrap it up here if you'd like. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Well, there is one thing,
Okay.
and I have to admit, and I'm a bit embarrassed to admit this,
Uh-oh.
but
Here we go.
I recently lost one of my prized top
Ooh,
level domains,
it was a prize
top level
one.
names.
All right.
Yeah. So early on, I had, when the top level names became mainnet, and we could actually bid on them through the whole bidding process. I was like, I was thinking, oh, Noster would be good. I think I'd even got Noster on the test net and was using it to test with. I'm like, oh, let me try to get Noster. And we were bidding on it, and somebody else was wanting Noster too. And I'm like, I bid it up, and they overbid me. I overbid them. It got up to a couple $100 effectively. I'm like, I'm out. But it got me thinking. It's like the Nostr tie-in is very kind of close to heart in terms of Bitcoin spaces. I'm like,
Yeah, it's big.
well, in Nostr, right now they use zapping
Mm.
for communicating and stuff. Maybe it would be useful to like have like a short name like Jason at Zap, and I would know that that's his Nostr, and I could zap him,
That's a good
and
one.
great. So I thought, let me try to get at Zap. So I got in there, and it went back and forth a bit. I didn't pay nothing for it, but I got Zap registered. So I was like feeling pretty proud of myself. And then I was like, back when the development team was talking about how do these top level operators work, there's a way to what they call delegation, where you can say, okay, you can not give up ownership of the name itself, but give someone else the ability
Mm.
to do the stuff to the left of the at sign for you, the sub name stuff, kind of as a delegate that responsibility. So give them the ability to kind of manage that zero knowledge proof tree and put the hashes on the thing for you, because not everybody's going to want to do all the technical stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was at a point when these things were coming up for renewal, and I had transferred Zap to another wallet. So I just created another Spaces wallet so that I could have somebody to send stuff to. And also I wanted to like test like sending money back and forth and messages back and forth
Mm.
and signing things. So I had kind of this other wallet, and I had transferred a couple names. Zap was one of them. And then the other one was, well, I'll just say it, PubKey.
Okay. I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. So so those were like two of them sitting in this other wallet. And then just life and other things happened. And I had my main wallet with like most of the top level names that I had accumulated. So that's the one I like watch. I'd like, check on it, see what's going on, the one I would use for various sort of testing. And if I ever needed to test something else on a different wallet or between wallets, then I would use this other one. But I just didn't like look at it very often. And like time went by, and I realized like last month, it's like that thing, it expired back in December. Like, now, when it expires, it doesn't like show up on a name, hey, I'm expired.
Mhm.
It just moves into, well, I can pull it up here
You
quick.
just lose it, right?
Well, you lose it, even though you were the last owner. You can't just say renew and have it back.
Yeah.
And this is part of the protocol. This
Yeah.
is how it's designed.
This keeps it
It
fair.
says you have to go back through the process of acquiring that, which means that it's available. So Zap, let's see. So, so I could go. Let's see what was the original.
A lot of bids on Zap.
Yeah, so okay, it was up. It was up. It kind of climbed up. This was the original thing. So the original
So what did it close on?
stuff.
13,000 Satoshis? Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the highest bid. So this is like when I got it, right? So then I transferred it. I took a registered. And then what happened? Like it's it expired.
It expired.
And
Revoked.
it yeah. So this was actually me trying to reopen it on the 10th. So I did. I'm like, man, things are kind of quiet right now. Maybe I can just reacquire it quietly. Who's going to really know? So I opened it back up again. Oops, and it got rolled out, and then the 10 days kind of ticked by, and I thought, okay, I'll just got to remember to get this thing transferred when it's available available to transfer, and it came up like on Saturday, and I forgot to usually I put a little note in my calendar to like remind me. And then I was like, oh yeah, Monday, I was like, oh yeah, I better go register Zap. And I was like, it's gone. I'm like, what? I'm like, what happened? It's like gone. And it's like, and because of the nature of this, like I have like literally no idea who won it. And you can see they just like edged in. They did like one extra sat to sneak it from me.
Some sneaky dog at the last minute,
Some
too. Look, it
sneaky
was
dog
10
at the
days.
last minute.
It was 10
I know.
days.
I know.
Right at
I
the
know.
end.
So I'm like, man, that sucks. And well, at least I hope somebody out there is going to enjoy it. And maybe they'll forget about it. Maybe the same thing will happen, and maybe it'll expire, and I'll have another crack at it. Or what's the other option? It gets put on the
marketplace.
aftermarket.
Gets
Yeah,
put
in the
on the
marketplace. So like,
marketplace.
yeah, you can bet it won't be put on the marketplace for 1,042 sats. That's for sure. So anyway,
Or
that's
maybe
my
someone
little.
will hear this and they'll just send it. Maybe they'll make a
Maybe
comment.
maybe somebody will make a comment. Maybe somebody. Now I tell people like if you want something to play with, and you don't want to go through the 10 days. There is kind of a shortcut, and I'm guilty of this a little bit, but just go and look at current auctions.
Yeah.
And see is there any that have been like sitting and waiting to be claimed mode for a while, and maybe they've completely forgot about it. You can, if you're willing to spend at least a little more than what the last bid was,
Yeah.
you can literally overbid, wait a day, and then you're now the highest bidder, and you can pick it up. So
AGI is not terrible. What's that? Artificial
that's not too
General
bad.
Intelligence?
Intelligence, yeah.
Pretty good.
So it'll be an auction for another 7 days. So
Now, click on that one. I think that one came out and people were already, that was revoked too. Yeah, so that one, look how much that went for. 155,000 Satoshis.
Ooh, somebody is like totally stinging on this one.
Woo.
Unless this is the same person trying to get back in on it. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, this is the nature of it, and this is why it's fair, because you can't just squat on something and forget about it. Yeah,
you got to use it. Makes sense. Now, I wish on one hand, I wish they didn't expire, because that means when you get a name, you don't have to keep making a Bitcoin transaction. But on the other hand, I understand, because for my names, I don't want them to expire. But for other people's names, I do want them to expire.
Right. Well, we're going to have to probably roll it. But one, just to leave some with people, is like, I'm in order to help people manage the top level names and maybe resell them, I'm working on a project to kind of support this. I'll give this is a rough version of it, but it's called Spaces Ops, and it will allow you mentioned delegation. So you could, if it's a name you own and you're willing to delegate it, then I can manage it and help you make money with your name. So nice. This is something I'm working on. And we can talk about it more specifically when it gets more real. But yeah, it's it's something that is an example of where we go next with some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'll definitely be using this. All right, Andrew. Thanks
All
for your
right.
time today. It was a great show.
Good show, and we will talk to you soon.
Yep. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.